Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood Austin. Welcome back.
I'm super excited about this episode today because of your jaunty scarf.
Thank you.
I think it's very pretty.
Thank you.
What made you wear a scarf today? It's the third day officially of summer now, and you're wearing a scarf. Friday was the first day of summer.
Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
No?
You can wear a scarf in the summer.
I think of a scarf
It's a
as kind
silk
of
scarf. It's not a
Yeah, I don't know how
heavy. It's not it's not for warmth.
I don't know how ladies' fashion works, but I'm excited to talk about it because I like it so much.
Oh. It was my grandmother's and then my mother's and now mine. And
Okay.
so
All right. So you thought today's a scarf day.
I needed something close to me to... The world feels a little topsy-turvy right now, so I'm trying to ground myself, kind of root myself in something that's heartwarming and makes me feel loved and safe.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the topsy-turvy stuff. What are you referring to specifically?
Just so you know, we're not going to stay on it. But I don't know. There's just a lot happening in the world that feels unsettled and a little unsafe, if I'm being honest. For me, personally.
Okay. It sounds like you're talking about the stuff that's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't think we're going to war, and I don't think we're like I'm logical enough to know to look at it and see it for what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I'm sensitive enough to be a little sad, I think. And I'm a little tired.
We had a busy weekend.
We had an action-packed weekend.
Yeah.
And I woke up with terrible allergies this morning. So it's all kind of, I'm doing my best.
Okay.
Keep my head above waters. We had a closing on Friday that was less than awesome, and so I'm still ironing out details from that. That's making me a little emotional as well.
And when you say less than awesome, what are you talking about specifically? I'm just curious what you mean by a closing that's less than awesome.
Our clients still don't have keys,
and that is bad business.
New home, even though we've closed, and it's because there's been one snafu after another.
Sure.
So,
and I don't want to make light of it in any way. Luckily, they did get the garage code, so they are able to be in there. But you're right. There's no excuse when you're buying a home to not actually get your keys on the day of funding. And the latest you should get them is 9 p.m. as per the contract.
Yeah. The
latest, not 3 days later.
Yep.
So, yeah, I get that. I get that.
And it's frustrating because there's nothing I can do about it.
Well, I don't want to dwell on that. And I definitely don't want to dwell on the missile strike on the nuclear bases or nuclear factories
in Iran.
That's exactly right. But I will say this, as of midday on Monday, Iran has done their striking back, and it was telegraphed wildly to show the world that they were going to fire at an American Army base in Qatar, and they let everyone know before they did it. They then fired the missiles. They were all shot down, so I think the conflict could be over.
Okay.
They've retaliated. We did the bunker buster bombs. Could be done. Here's what I do know about that. The stock market opened slightly down, then it went up about 300 or 400 on Monday. Mortgage-backed securities sold, and we saw improvement in mortgage rates as well on Monday. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but it wasn't, at least for now, catastrophic for the economy, which a lot of people were talking about over the weekend, afraid that would happen. It didn't.
And this is, something that may be of importance to somebody listening. This is, I just really didn't want to come to work today. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was a little, espresso depresso and a little tired and this is why I talk a lot about you're in charge of your life, right?
That's right.
And you get to decide. And so this is why we have schedules.
Sure.
And this is why I have checklists, and these are the tasks we complete each Monday. And I knew if I don't go to work today, there are tasks that won't be completed. And if those aren't completed, then I've let my clients down.
Sure.
And if I don't go to work today, I can't follow up with the business that came in over the weekend.
Right.
And I let my clients down. And if I don't go to work, you know what I mean? And so routine will save you when you are feeling out of sorts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned that to you last week. You were feeling a little antsy about an appointment you had coming up the next day. And I said, just do your routine.
Right.
Just do your normal routine.
And I want to talk about that a little bit too.
Oh, okay.
That appointment that I had. Just so you guys know, if you are over 50, you probably will be asked by your doctor to go get a colonoscopy. Mm-hmm. I did. I'm glad I did. It was a perfectly fine experience. The worst thing about the experience was the prep, where I had to drink some horrible medicine to make everything move through me for a day before. Yeah. That was no fun. Some would call it crappy, but the actual medical procedure,
no big deal at all.
No big deal at all. And the good news is they did find 2 polyps in my system, which they were able to take out right there. Mm-hmm. I was none the wiser.
Yeah.
And I woke up to the news, and with any luck, they'll send me my screening results on those, and they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So if you have been putting it off because it seems invasive, it's not. Do it. Knock it out. Knock it out. Bam. Done.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk to me more about that offline, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah. Well, good.
I'm a big supporter of
Thanks for the PSA.
Preventative medicine.
Yeah.
And I was nervous about it. I got to be honest. I was a little antsy. I was cagey.
Yeah.
And everybody made me feel comfortable there, and it was quick and easy. Mm-hmm. I was at lunch as soon as it was over.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my story about the colonoscopy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's there. It's a pretty crappy prep process.
Yeah, but other than that, it was fine. In fact, I got to give it to you. You had your procedure. We went to lunch because you were starving. You hadn't eaten in a day and a half, and then we went and showed a property.
2:00,
and then you went home and took a little nap while I prepped for. We had guests for dinner that night.
We had one of the busiest weekends we've had all year. And here's the good news. If you want to know about what's happening in the real estate market, I took 4 loan applications over the weekend. I had a client meeting with new buyers and did their pre-approval. We had multiple open houses this weekend. I mean, it was a busy, busy, busy weekend, even though on Saturday night, surprise, we dropped bombs on Iran. So if someone has a housing need, the news cycle does not slow down the need.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I come back to, right? And that's why you just get up and one thing I know how to do is put one foot in front of the other.
Right.
No matter what the circumstances are. And so I would say, like, if you're to the person listening today who's feeling a little nervous, a little scared, a little down, a little confused, like just one foot in front of the other, you know, do your thing, do what you do, you know, and keep doing it until you can't, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like, what is it really? It doesn't affect me today.
Right.
It might in the future. But what does affect me today is what I decide to do.
Right.
And so you got to get up and you got to decide, what you're going to do. And that kind of, I finally finished the book, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, which I highly recommend. Do I agree with 100% of the book? Maybe, maybe not. Do I think everyone should read it? Yes, probably. The Let Them Theory is a very interesting book. It's very helpful for interpersonal relationships. For me, it was very inspiring because, the first half of the book is all about let people do what they're going to do, basically. The second half of the book is, and then let me. And it's a lot of taking personal responsibility for what I'm going to do and how I'm going to react, what I do with my own life. And,
Sure.
And I love that because I do agree. I am responsible for how my day turns out. And so that's why I showed up. So I hope you're showing up today for whatever you've got going on. And if you're not, finish listening to this and then go show up for something.
I like that.
And, yesterday morning I was a little down and you invited me to go to the disc golf course with you and I didn't play, but I did get to spend a lot of time looking at pretty flowers and feeling the sunshine on my face and smelling the fresh air and running and jumping and frolicking, some might say. And I did feel a lot better after that. So, and that was great. It was a great setup for my open house that I had holy cow. I mean, the minute I opened the door, there were people waiting to get in. Mm-hmm. And it never stopped the whole time. I said to the seller, don't ask me how many people came through because I do not know. In the 2 hours that was open, it never stopped the whole time. I mean, the last people walked out the door at 3:06 and I locked it so that I could go to the bathroom. Like it had been just a dead run the whole time, which was fabulous.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen. I was prepared with my computer, like, I'll work on this and I'll do this. While I'm sitting in the open house, I always I always like to be productive.
Sure.
While I'm there, whether there are people or not.
Right.
But I didn't have a chance to even do anything else because there were so many people. And that was fun. I made some new friends. I met some of your old friends.
That's right.
Which was hilarious. We're sitting there talking about the house and one of them looked down at the table at the flyer that was sitting on the table and said, David Austin. And then we had a nice, fun conversation about that. They're old friends of yours who absolutely love and adore you and have worked with you.
Yeah, many
times in the past.
Everybody sitting at that table has worked with me to buy a house.
Yeah, which I thought was super fun. So probably 10 people over the weekend asked me, how's the market?
The market's great. I got to tell you, and you would hear most realtors and lenders would say typically, it's the summer buying season. It's a little bit of a rush. And a lot of people have been, laying back for the last couple of weeks. I think we broke through it last weekend. I think that it was beautiful out. Yeah. The wind stopped blowing so hard and people went out and looked at real estate. It
has been a little quieter than what we prefer. It's been a little quiet
until
this weekend.
This weekend,
crazy.
And Sunday is worth noting because Sunday we saw a ton of people, and that was despite what happened Saturday night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what I'll continue to say is, if the local economy and the employment picture is rosy, people will buy houses. If they have a housing need, they will buy.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that just as we think we should.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I like that. Interest rates have kind of bounced around this year.
Oh, sorry.
They're not as good as we would love, but when I talk to buyers, they say things like, yeah, I can't afford not to buy now. I have to buy now.
Right.
So I think the interest rate scare and talk about inflation is kind of in the rearview mirror for now.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah. A couple other things worth noting to report. We do have a restaurant review nobody asked for in just a moment, but you had mentioned a couple of times I had a gathering of women for, I called it martinis and menopause.
Turns out I am the only drinker of the martinis after it happened.
Yes.
I got there at the end just in time to say goodbye to most of the people, and then I said, oh, nobody's had martinis. I'll make one.
Yeah. So, but we had a great time. It was a very interesting conversation. People asked really interesting questions. Like I said, you've got to get with your provider and get your hormones tested. And somebody said, I don't even know what to say to my provider. Like, how do I, and by the way, how do I even make that appointment? And and I have a guide for that I got. There's a great resource, thepauselife.com. It's Dr. Mary Claire Haver's website. And she actually has, and I printed it out and gave it to everyone that night. It is a how-to guide of who to call, what to say, and how to get the information that you need so that you can make an educated decision about your health as it pertains to perimenopause and menopause. But it was such a great time. And there were so many people that last minute had to cancel out, and other people who said, gosh, I'm just seeing this. I can't make it and whatever. So we're doing it again. Midlife and Menopause, a candid conversation will be happening on September 23rd.
Okay.
From 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So reach out to me for more information.
Midlife and Menopause. That makes more sense in my brain. You know what I mean? I'm not going to accidentally call that mariachis and menopause.
Yeah, and Midlife and Menopause is what the Facebook group is called. So if you want to be a part of that community, you can. There's not a ton of activity that happens in that Facebook group, but there could be. There could be.
I don't think a lot of people want to talk about their personal medical things on a forum like that. They want to meet with you personally. Am I?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd be happy to talk about my
women
colonoscopy
will talk.
on
Women
one of
love
those.
to talk. Women love to talk in those kind of forums where it's a safe place. You know that Mary Claire Haver, Dr. Haver has an online group that you can connect with as well. And so So anyway, September 23rd. Reach out to me if you'd like to come and have a candid conversation. And I might even do a clothing swap at this one.
Tell me what that means.
A clothing swap?
Yeah.
So you bring all the clothes that you don't want anymore, and you just, everybody kind of lays them out, and then you swap.
Is that a thing people do?
Yeah, it's fun.
Men don't do stuff like that.
No, but women, I thought it would, first of all, I love to thrift, and I would love to shop other people's closets.
Yeah.
And if you've got stuff that you don't want anymore, before you take it to Goodwill, let's get together. And part of my motivation is like our bodies change. Mm-hmm. And I would much rather, like in the last 4 years, I have gotten rid of so many clothes just because they don't fit my body style anymore, because my body style has changed because of menopause.
Sure.
And I would much rather have given those to someone that I knew had beautiful clothes, gorgeous, stuff that I ended up, giving to charity, which is fine too. But how fun would it be to do a swap, where we're just like, I'm done with this. You want it?
I can only picture me calling some of my buddies, hey, listen, we're going to be doing a clothing swap this weekend at the Austin house. Come on
it's
down.
it's a shop my closet kind
I know.
of thing.
I think that's a
do
cool
it all
thing.
the time. Yeah.
Guys are just so different. You know what I mean? If for some reason I need to decommission a piece of clothing, I'd go out to the trash and throw it away.
But if it's a perfectly usable piece of clothing that someone else could use,
I get it.
I don't know.
And I'm a weirdo. I hold on to stuff forever. So I have some pants sizes that now I fit back in that for years I didn't fit in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a fun deal. But yeah, like, hey, you've got a members only jacket. Well, I've got an Ocean Pacific hoodie. You want to trade? That's never a conversation I've heard men have. Never, not once. It's pretty cool.
Not my fault. You guys are missing out.
I guess it's just like thrifting. I would rather be punched in the face than have to go thrifting. Yet you and all the girls in our family love it.
Yeah.
couple of the guys in our family enjoy it. Well, really one that I can think of off the top of my head, but maybe two. But it's just a different mindset, and I don't know why.
And it's reduce, reuse, recycle kind of a mindset. It's a giving new life to something old mindset. It's I don't know.
And I think women's fashion's way cooler than men's fashion too. And I always have thought that. I don't know why, but I've always thought that.
Okay.
And when you get ready for work, it's a whole different experience than me.
Yeah.
In the morning when you're getting ready, I love it. You're like, well, I had a theme in mind, and now blah, blah. Here's my theme. Black shoes, brown shoes. Jaunty little put my foot in shoes.
I do often wish I had a uniform.
Well, uniforms are not a bad thing.
Because I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
but
we need to get a bunch of Sherwood Austin gear is what we need to get.
I don't know. Expressing yourself through your clothing is also really fun too, though.
And I know all about that because in high school, I'm the reason Lafayette Parish in Lafayette, Louisiana has a uniform policy for public schools. Me. Because I used to do crazy stuff in high school with my clothes, and my principal was so mad about it, he got on the school board and wrote rules changing the dress code to uniforms for public schools. That's a real thing that happened, and I had to report on it because I was a reporter in Lafayette, Louisiana at the time that he was doing all this. Isn't that interesting? And I interviewed him about it, and he kept saying to me, David, you're one of my boys. And I knew for sure, no, I'm not. You were very mad at me with my clothing choices. And, when I say I was doing crazy stuff, I was like painting one leg of my jeans red and the other leg of my jeans yellow. That's not crazy today. But
it wasn't crazy then.
In 1986, it was. Okay. You trying to be a heavy metal boy there, David? You know what I mean?
I don't, but I believe you.
Well, yeah, that was a whole thing. So now they wear uniforms at public school in my hometown.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right.
Yeah. So I get it. I get making a statement
the straw that broke the camel's back.
I think the straw that broke the camel's back is when that principal demanded my father come to the school with some appropriate pants for me to wear, and he purposely came with a bag of pants that had writing all over the legs and holes in the knees. And when the principal said, well, David needs new pants, my dad looked at him in the face and said, that's great news. Do you want to take us to JCPenney's or Sears? We're ready to go. And they released me back to class, and that was the last I ever heard of that.
Until they put uniforms in place.
And I was a college graduate by then and working on the radio.
That's hilarious. Oh, my God, that's funny.
We also got Team Trojan shirts for the trombone section in high school as well. We were the Mighty Lions, not the Trojans.
Ah.
Yes.
Well, on that note, do you have a restaurant review no one asked to hear?
The restaurant review nobody asked for. If you're thinking about a brunch situation in the Tri-Cities, Washington, Fable now opens on the weekends at like 6 a.m. for breakfast and brunch.
Yeah.
And hot tip, get the breakfast pizza. Stupid good.
Yeah.
Eggs, sausage, bechamel sauce, a blend of cheeses, a house blend that they do right there. Stupid good. And it could feed 4 people.
Easily.
And it's, a nickel. It's a nickel. I can't understand how they stay open.
It's not a nickel.
If you get the country fried steak, you're out for like $27. But if you get the pizza for whatever it costs, $27, you feed 4. That country fried steak's just 1. So hot tip, if you're looking for something fun for Saturday or Sunday brunch, the breakfast pizza at Fable.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. Yep. We went after disc golf.
We sure did.
And before the open houses.
That's exactly right.
That was fun.
It was a lovely respite from the weekend. I enjoyed it substantially.
It was a really good time.
Yeah, liked it a lot.
So tired today, and half of it is allergies. So I apologize. I know my energy is a little down today. Some days are just like that, right? Yeah. So we had a question
Okay.
to cover today. And the question is, what does contingent mean? This question comes to us from Reddit, by the way.
Like, what is a contingent sale, or what is a contingency
What does
in a sale?
contingent mean?
Typically, contingent means...
It can mean a lot of different things is the answer.
Sure.
But let's dive into it a little bit.
Typically, if you have a contingent sale, that may imply that you have a house to sell to be able to close on the new property that you wish to buy.
Right. So the new home that you're trying to buy is contingent upon you selling the old home you're moving out of.
Yes.
So that's a contingent sale.
Right.
But there are a lot of contingencies written into a real estate contract. Contact. Wow. Contract. So it could be, a contingency could be that this purchase and sale is contingent upon the buyer's approval of a whole house inspection.
That's exactly right. Or
Okay.
a financing contingency.
Sure.
So the way to think of contingent is if this, then this.
Yeah. It's a great way to look
If
at it.
this, then this. If the house appraises for the right number, then we'll buy the house at that number and the
Yep.
bank will give me the money.
Right.
If I have a house to sell, I have to sell it so that I can have the funds to proceed to this purchase.
Yep.
Or have the debt ratio that allows me to proceed to this purchase. If this, then that.
Right.
That's how I describe contingency.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that too.
Thank you very much for that. That was easy. I thought that was going to take longer. Let me mark that off. Mark that off there. There you go.
So there you have it. And there it is. With that, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the show? We're only about 26 minutes into
Well,
it.
yeah, it's short and sweet. I would just say, hang in there, everybody. It's going to be okay.
And, no major economic ramifications from the weekend's political coverage and what's happening across the globe. So,
And we are making a very concerted effort to get with people face to face.
yes.
And we are, I think it's helpful to sit across a table and share a meal with people in your home, to remind you of everything that is wonderful about humanity.
Oh, sure.
We've had lots of dinners recently. We've had a lot of people into our home for dinners or just hangout time or whatever. And it always reminds me everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Also, I think people are fascinating. So some of them have been people I don't really know that well. I'm just getting to know. And by the way, if you struggle with adult friendships, that is very common, by the way, a very common thing. And the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins actually goes pretty deep into why we struggle with adult friendships and how to build adult friendships and what to do about this. She gets really into the science behind it, and it's very, very interesting.
I think it is interesting. And, you told me one of the driving factors that brought us back to the Tri-Cities was we came here to visit, and you saw some of my adult male relationships, and you kind of felt sad for me that we didn't have that on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? And I have never once contemplated that, only because I'm not super introspective. But yes, I do have some pretty positive friendships here, and I like that. So talking about that is very interesting to me as well, because I'd never think about it.
Yeah.
I don't have someone that I've met that I don't consider to be a friend. Does that make sense? My kids have made fun of me for years. Oh, Dad met that guy? Oh, they're friends now.
Yeah, they're best friends. I love that guy.
And I do.
Yeah. That's just who you are.
Yeah.
I'm not as much. So I have to work at it a little bit. And now I understand why it's work, because I've read that book, and it really was enlightening for the average person. You're an anomaly.
The Let Them Theory, is that what it's called?
Yep.
by Mel Robbins.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen the book at the house, and I've seen you listening to it on audio, but I haven't listened to it yet. So
I think it would be really helpful even for you to understand how other people are thinking, because you don't think of relationships like most people do. Your brain's wired very uniquely in that respect.
yeah, but you say it's unique. It's all I know.
Right.
I'm surprised that everybody doesn't think the way I think.
And this book would help you understand not everyone thinks the way that you think.
Well, I understand it. I believe it. I can't.
And understanding of how the typical brain might see that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So there you
Let
go.
Them by Mel Robbins. The Let Them theory.
Yep.
Okay. I like it. Anything else real quick? I just started the music.
No, just hang in there. We're all going to be okay.
Yep. There you have it. There it is. For Londa, Joanne Sherwood Austin, the prettiest girl in the world with a little jaunty scarf on today. So cute. You really are super, super cute.
Thank you very much.
I'm David Austin, and I think that's all I have to contribute to the show.
Yeah.
Anything else? Last words. You've got 20 seconds.
No. I just, hang on to each other. We're going to be okay. We'll get through this together. We'll get through, no matter what you're going through, we'll get through it with somebody. You know?
Okay. There
Hold
you
on.
have it. There it is. We'll see you again next week.